Hey, this is Jill Simonello with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and this week I have the 2022 Jeep Compass. And since Tim and I have already done a first drive review of this vehicle, I don't want to do a walk around or look at the exterior features. Instead, what I want to do in this review is I want to focus on 4 things that I discovered during a week-long test. And so today we're going to talk about fuel economy, we're going to talk about engine power, we're going to talk about interior appointments, and we're going to talk about safety systems. I'm going to tell you 2 of these things have a happy ending and 2 of them do not. So let's take a closer look at the Jeep Compass right now. All right, so the first thing that I want to discuss is the engine, and this is on the plus side of the spectrum because previously when I drove this during the first drive, I noticed that the engine was a little bit meh, and that was under hard acceleration in highway style driving. So this is a 2.4 liter engine. It has 177 horsepower, and okay, yeah, it's still not great on the highway. Let's be perfectly clear here. It is meh. When you're trying to merge with traffic or you are trying to pass on the highway. You'll get it done, but just don't expect it to be super fast. Where I found that this does super well, however, is going to be in the city environment. So you may have missed it, but there's basically a stop sign on every corner in Chicago. So I've been doing stop, start, speed bump, and every time I come out of a slow down moment, I've got a nice, fast, peppy, quick acceleration out of the stop. So it does really well in a city environment. And, you know, if you're not doing a lot of fast merges or aggressive driving on the highway, this engine is actually pretty nice. So I'm going to revise that initial opinion just a little bit because highway, city, total thumbs up. In addition to the engine power, one of the big wins in this refresh for the Jeep Compass is going to be the interior amenities. They have done a nice job with the materials, the stitching, and just the technology that is going to be available. Now, I do want to point out this is a limited trim, so this is going to be your top tier trim. Base price, I think, is right around $32,000. But what you're going to get is, again, some really nice amenities. So leather wrapped steering wheel. You have your leather wrapped gear shift here. You have wireless charging, wireless Apple CarPlay. So I think that is a really nice win and a nice add for a vehicle that is a little bit more on the basic side of the spectrum. But outside of that, you've got your really nice leather-like seats and just an attractive styling just generally all around. And I will point out, again, because this is the limited trim, you have the heated seats and steering wheel as well as vented seats. And then, you know, on the passenger side, you've got heated and vented seats as well. And I'm going to point out that when I had 4 people in the car and I wouldn't let my husband turn the heat down on his side, because this also has dual automatic climate control, but I didn't want the passenger in the rear behind him to get cold, he was able to turn on his vented seats, and that helped him be a little bit more climate comfortable on the cool side of the spectrum. Now, I did speak about rear seat passengers, and I have to say I had my parents-in-law in the back seat for a couple of hours, and they loved it. So let's hop back there really quick and talk about what's going on in the back seat and why they loved it so much. Now, first off, now that we're in the back seat, obviously behind my driving position, there's going to be plenty of legroom, but this right here is my husband's passenger position, and there's going to be a decent amount of legroom right here as well. So a solid 6 inches there. And I'm going to point out, this is a soft surface. So if your knees are pressing into the back of this seat, it's not going to be terribly uncomfortable. But the two things that they remarked on that they loved the most about this back seat, thing number one, you have heated rear seats. So they loved the heated rear seats. It was a bitter cold day in Chicago when I had them back here, and the very first thing that they did is they turned on the heated seats. So that is a nice little add for a vehicle in this segment. And then the other thing they commented on was the seat comfort itself. So you've got comfortable seats, heated seats, you have some cup holders here. If you have only 2 passengers back here, you've got your air vents, even though you don't have the actual climate controls, and you have USB-A and a USB-C charge port. So decent legroom, comfortable seats, heated seats. Yeah, in addition to an amazing front seat with an excellent design, you have a nice space for backseat passengers as well. Now, while I really like the engine and the interior appointments of the Jeep Compass, this right here is one of the big drawbacks that you discover after you've been driving it for a little bit of time. EPA estimates you should be getting about 22 miles per gallon in the city, and hey, by the way, I'm in the city. So 22 miles per gallon in the city, and I am averaging 17.3 miles per gallon. And I've driven a fair mix. I've driven about 200 miles in a fair mix of city and highway, and I am still getting nowhere near the EPA estimate. And combined driving, to make matters worse, is 25 miles per gallon. So yeah, not getting that. So this is an all-wheel drive vehicle. Again, this is the 4-cylinder engine. I should be doing a lot better than this. And as you can see, I actually need to go get some gas right now. It is now time for me to delve into the singularly most annoying thing about this vehicle, and it's that right there. The safety systems in the 2022 Jeep Compass are incredibly sensitive. And whenever you are coming up on a vehicle and the Jeep Compass doesn't think that you are stopping fast enough, it beep, 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 brake, 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 brake. And, I can even feel it starting to brake a little bit with the brake pedal. And that's not helpful in a city situation, because you are going to be driving a little bit more aggressively. You're probably going to be a little bit closer to the car in front of you than you would be on a highway or in a suburban situation. I will say I did not have this squawk at me once when I was in the highway, but pretty much every light I come up to, it gives me a little bit of a squawk because it thinks that I am not slowing down fast enough. So unless I drive like a grandma and go really slow and leave 4 seconds between me and the vehicle in front of me, this safety system is going off and it is driving me nuts. It's loud, it's actually incredibly distracting, and every time it goes off, I basically slam on my brakes. And that's not good for the car behind me, because they're probably driving just as close to me as I'm driving to the car in front of me, and which, by the way, is not that close. And I'm at a stoplight, so I feel comfortable that I can turn around right now. But I hate that. I hate it. And I have to tell you, this system is supposed to be here to protect you, not annoy you. And the first thing that I'm going to do if I own this vehicle is I'm going to turn all of that off. I'm going to turn it off. And then when I really need it, it's not going to be available to me. So I wish that Jeep would have designed a system that was a little less sensitive and a little bit more like a normal person is going to drive. Instead, they've created a system that is so sensitive that somebody who owns this vehicle is going to shut it off immediately. So let's take a quick look. I'm going to pull over and I'm going to show you how you can do that. All right, now that we've pulled over, let's talk about how to deal with that automatic emergency braking situation. So you go into your vehicle and you will have a navigation here that has some options. And what you want to do is you want to go into your safety driving assistance item, and then it will pull up a menu here. And what you're going to want to do, so first off, let me tell you before we get to the automatic emergency braking, you're going to want to come down here to your blind spot alert, and you're going to want to set it to lights only, because if you have it to light splits chimes, it's like, I won't do this in your ear, but it's like, bah, bah, bah. It's like this really loud, scary noise, very high pitched, that comes out, and it scares the bejesus out of me every time it goes off. So I want the alert. I don't need the chime. I'm just going to set it to lights only because, yeah, I don't need to get myself in an accident because the sound itself is scaring me. All right, so now we go back to this automatic emergency braking. You're going to go into this setting, and as you can go to only warning, which to me defeats the purpose of having this system in the first place, because you're taking away the active braking, which you need and want, to just have a warning. The point of a system like this is to have an emergency braking system. So I don't know. I would try this setup and hope that that is going to be far better than this, because yeah, that sensitivity with the warning and the braking and the another thing that scares the bejesus out of me and has almost caused me to get in an accident a couple of times. So yeah, adjust that and it'll probably make your life a lot happier. I will say I have talked to people who've owned this car who have shut this off completely because they said it was too sensitive, just in general. So this is an important system, and I would hope that Jeep would be able to have a setting that it's not going to be constantly beeping at you. All right, I just want to give a few brief impressions of this vehicle the second time around. And what I want to say is it does a lot better in its intended environment. This is a great city vehicle in terms of drivability, parkability, maneuverability, and all of those things that you would want in a city environment. So from the engine power to the interior comfort creatures, I mean, this gets a complete thumbs up. It's very easy to park, fits in tight spaces well, the driver's seat is comfortable, the passenger seat is comfortable, and if my parents-in-law are happy with the back seat, then I'm going to be happy with the back seat as well. So while my first impressions of this vehicle were a little bit meh, I have to say my general impressions after the second time around are much more favorable. There's certainly things you can do to get better fuel economy, and thank goodness you can also adjust those safety systems. So the things that I didn't like about this vehicle the second time around, well, there's a little bit of a fix for that. So in general, I think Jeep did a great job with this refresh, and if you're looking for a compact SUV that will give you the city's maneuverability as well as a little bit of extra cargo volume in the back and some really nice up-level amenities, start here. Okay, that's it. That is all I have for this week on the 2022 Jeep Compass. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check us out on the web at pickuptrucktalk.com. Until next time, I will see you down the road.